you. You're tuned in to the Skirts Up Show with Samantha and Melissa.
Join our mission to normalize failure, but still uncover the positives at every twist and turn.
Skirts up. But keep your panties on.
I'm calling in to tell my story.
Hey there, this is Jen, and I just wanted to call in and share my story.
I was kind of like, oh, I want to go on Ancestry, just to kind of see.
I joined Ancestry, and I was very nervous.
A few years after being on, I was in shock. I had another sister.
I had a sister, and it was like shocking. And I guess the crazy thing is that I actually had two sisters.
Does this resonate to you at all?
So one day when I was about 10, I was doing dishes. My grandpa and grandma were visiting on my dad's side. And I heard my grandpa talking with my mom in the living room. And I just heard a weird comment like, oh, that's how he was with the other girl. And immediately I just knew, wait, my dad was married before, or he had another wife or another girlfriend or something. I don't know how I put it together. I just knew. And so then I asked my mom again. I was like, do I have a sister? And I said, and was dad married before? And she said, I think you need to talk to your dad about that. I didn't want to, so I didn't. But my mom must have told him because he took me to work with them one day. And I was painting this bathroom in this house because he's a general contractor. And he goes, so your mom said that you have some questions for me. And I was like,
shit. Now I have to talk.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not going to make it long, but he basically just opened up that, yes, he had some relationships before he married my mom. And I probably had 2 or 3 siblings out there. And one he believed was probably a girl. I think he had heard through the grapevine in particular. It was all very mysterious to me. And he said, if one day you have a sibling show up, just don't be surprised. And I was like, okay. And then we dropped it and we never talked about it again. So then when I was 21, we were on this road trip and my dad goes, oh, I have something to tell you guys. And my mom was like, oh, Bob, not now. And of course, he's like, this is the time. So he tells us that he had a daughter who had been put up for adoption and was trying to connect with him through the agency. And so I wanted him to meet her. He wasn't ready at the time. We did have some arguments about that. I always thought one day I'm going to meet her. I'm going to find her. Fast forward, long story short, I moved to Texas and I'm in my late 20s, early 30s maybe. And I'd been living in Texas for about 5 years and I'm about to get married and my dad calls me and says, hey, just so you know, your sister that was trying to get a hold of me all those years ago wants to meet again. And she lives 5 minutes from you.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I went and I met her and that was Christy.
That's who we just heard from.
Yeah. Christy. So that was pretty amazing.
Who had not done any ancestry to find
Never.
Christy. It was basically she was reaching out to your dad and your dad connected y'all.
Yes.
I guess y'all get close for a while.
We got really close. We lived 5 minutes from each other and got to be, I'd never had a sister.
How long did y'all live that close and not know?
5 years.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to say I was happy about that because
No, that's frustrating.
I could have.
That's lost time.
Lots of lost time. Yeah. I'm not going to go into all the reasons and details about why we didn't or why we weren't connected before that. But I am to this day disappointed that I wasn't told that she was.
So Christy talks about how she does this ancestry.
Yes.
How long did y'all decide to do that together to see like how you guys met?
No,
or?
I didn't even know she did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't know she did ancestry. She did that after we met.
Okay.
And she called me one day about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
A little over a year ago now. And she goes, Melissa, I just logged into Ancestry. She had signed up for it like years ago, like before, but just never got in and checked. And she got in and looked, something told her to go in and look at her notifications. She went in and looked and she called me immediately and said, it says that we have like a cousin, but I think she's probably our sister. And I said, whoa, what? And she goes, here, I have a picture. And she sent me the picture and I was like, Christy. She looks just like you and Dad.
Oh my.
I'm like, that's our sister. Also, I have a picture of my grandmother, my dad's mom, when she's young, looks just like this girl. Her name is Jen. So Christy reaches out, and that was our other caller. Hey, they're both my sisters.
Isn't that wild?
It's really crazy. So Christy did get Jen and I in touch with each other. And I got Jen in touch with the rest of the family, my brothers and their wives. And then this last year for Christmas, my sister-in-law, Lori, bought my brother an ancestry kit because she's like, we have to find out how many more siblings are out there.
Oh my gosh. Melissa, what's going on today?
All right. I'm really, really, really excited. Like I can't keep the grin off of my face because one of my very best friends is with us today. And obviously, I just mentioned her a second ago because I was out there visiting her in Texas. But it's the famous Melissa Walker.
What?
LMFT.
Okay, I am the other Melissa, and I'm always the other Melissa. This is like my whole life.
No.
I'm the other Melissa.
Maybe
Yeah,
you are
it's okay
the
to be.
Melissa and everyone else is the other.
I'm kind of a trauma whore. I love it because you.
So it
you
sounds like...
I'm excited to learn about this from the trauma whore.
yeah,
Do it.
true or false? Time heals all wounds.
Oh. I mean, they say that, but I kind of don't know if that's true. I would say false. I don't know.
I hear that a lot. I want to say false because I want to say false.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the answer is false, and we are going to talk about that
Okay.
because trauma memories don't go away unless we help them go away because of how they're.
Would it be better to say that time buries all wounds?
Berries,
I don't know.
So berries does not make it go away. That makes it
That's
stay
right.
there.
That's what
and
I
just-
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, time might bury it, but it's in there and it's just getting bigger and stronger. Okay, true
Okay.
or false? Depression, anxiety, bipolar, all that fun stuff caused solely by genetics and biology.
They say it's genetics, especially like bipolar.
Say genetics
I'm going to
and
say
biological.
false.
Okay.
I'm going to say false because we already know I'm a very gray area person, and I don't think there's only one or other of anything.
Fair.
So the answer is false. Every single thing is nature plus nurture. So it's always biology plus what shit happened to you. And so if you have the genetics to be depressed, anxious, bipolar, but your environment doesn't give you anything to make those genes express themselves, then they won't express themselves. On the other hand, even if you don't have some risk factor genes or biology, if enough shit happens to you, you will develop depression, anxiety, bipolar, etc. So it's always nature plus nurture. Everything is nature plus nurture.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I like it. I'm learning.
Whether or not something is traumatizing to you, whether it's a big T trauma like an earthquake that shatters your house or a small T trauma like peeing your pants, it is completely subjective to you, to the person, whether your body and brain records it as a trauma or as a regular memory. So two kids could have the exact same parent. They could even be identical twins. And one might experience the parents as adequate, and the other one might experience the parents as neglectful. Or another example, again, we're going to stay with the first grader who pees their pants. And Melissa, I did not even know that happened to you. Of course, you were in kindergarten, not in first grade, so it's not exactly you. Is it okay? Like, is it
It's
triggering?
almost exactly me. Well,
But
no, it's not triggering at all, but clearly it must have affected me because I can remember to this day what I was wearing, and I remember sitting in that chair and being afraid to ask my teacher to go to the bathroom. And I forgot about it.
Remember what you're wearing and the details of the chair is how you know it's a trauma memory that is stuck in time. We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
But But I mean, I didn't know I was picking it. I thought I was picking an example that like wasn't going to be too icky for
It's
anybody. Is
not
it okay to
affecting
use that?
me traumatically.
If it does at some point become icky for you, though, I could
If
figure
I
out a
peed my
different
pants
example.
last year, we might not want to talk about it.
Well, if you did, that would actually be a really great example of how traumas build on each other. But yeah, you're
She's
right.
like wishing I could talk about peeing my pants yesterday.
Okay, so anyway,
She said she's a trauma whore.
Melissa was unaware that she had a peed her pants in kindergarten memory in this box until we were talking today. So even though she's not aware that it's in there, and probably not aware, I mean, I know you're aware of some of your stuff that's in there, but not everything. Nevertheless,
Yeah.
it's always right here, and it's always informing us. It's like, I call it our trauma glasses. So like, I can't take my trauma glasses off, right? So I'm always looking through this perspective that's being informed by everything in this box.
Okay, but to Melissa's situation, like, I guess I don't understand why that would be in the trauma box. Like, what in your daily life would pinpoint to, oh, it's because I peed my pants in?
Not a clue.
Like, like, I think, but what if it's just a memory because you said, have you ever peed your pants in school? Like, oh, yeah, I have.
So here's why I know that it's in that box. So today, like, you're going through your day and your brain is recording so much information about today. Not all of it can possibly go into that memory file. I wasn't going to talk about this, but this answers your question. So tonight when you sleep and you're in your REM sleep, your brain is going to compress the file, just like a computer compresses a file and goes from being like a bajillion gigabits or whatever, I don't know computers, to being like a smaller amount of information. And so it throws out a lot of things, right? It throws out a lot of stuff that your brain deems as unimportant to remember. And it only keeps the stuff that is important to remember and puts that on the shelf. The chair that she was sitting in that day and what she was wearing, like, Melissa, can you remember what you were wearing any other day of kindergarten except maybe the day that you had picture day and you still have that picture? Like, do you remember what you were wearing any other day?
No, actually. No.
Right.
I remember
You
other
had, like,
memories.
Yeah.
Like, I have a couple memories in kindergarten of, like, being able to read, and then the people around me couldn't. But I don't remember sitting in the moment of it.
Right. You don't remember sitting in the moment of it. You probably don't remember what you were wearing. Right. And so when a memory is recorded as a trauma, it like becomes slow motion. Your brain records all those details, like actually in excess. You remember the smells.
Okay.
You remember the sound. You remember the emotions. You remember what you were wearing. You remember what the chair looked like. You remember all those things.
I remember
Now,
the paper bag that my parents brought me new clothes back in.
Like, do you remember any other paper bags, like, that your lunches came in? No.
Okay, but I do. I'm going to stop challenging this, I promise. But I'm going to challenge it one more time. That is how my brain operates. So, like, when I worked in an animal hospital, me and only me for some reason, like, they could say, when did that pet, and I can't remember its name, come in? And then I'll sit there and I'll be like, I was wearing my pink scrubs, so it must have been Wednesday. And I know it was Wednesday because so-and-so was here, because they were standing here when I was standing here. And that pet's name was Fluffy because I remember singing this song in my head, like, when I was touching it. And I can, like, literally, like, I remember stupid stuff like this. Like, so how would I know, like, what's a trauma and, like, what's not a trauma if my brain works like that?
Good question.
So your brain still can't hold on to, like, can you remember that from kindergarten? Or just from, like, last week?
Oh, no. I mean, this is like 5 years ago. I'm, from working.
So I don't know you very well, Sam. And I don't know what your history is, and I don't want to out you on anything. But I'm going to hazard a guess that you've got a little hypervigilance going on, and that for you to feel safe, you need to be hyper
No, keep
aware.
going.
You need to be hyper aware of your surroundings and details at all times, because there's a part of you that thinks that if it drops the ball on any of that, you're going to experience a danger of some kind.
Oh,
Okay,
So
I'm going to
goodness.
validate what you just
Yeah.
said because now it's coming full circle. In my therapy, with all of my problems that I've had going on that I won't go into, it's come to the fact that she says that I'm in a constant state of living in fight or flight.
Yeah.
That I have not
Is that
been
PTSD?
that I've not been out of it in some time.
I don't have a license to work in Georgia. I don't have consent from Sam. I cannot diagnose Sam. I can say that hypervigilance is a symptom of PTSD.
Well, what do
Or-
you do now?
Yeah.
Like we're listening and now, Melissa's going, well, fuck. Now I have a new trauma I didn't know I have. And I'm sitting here going, oh, okay, there's something I don't know about myself somewhere. And
Yeah.
so like now someone listening, they're feeling the same way. So like, what do? They can't afford a therapist maybe. Like, so now what?
So even if you can't afford therapy, you might be able to actually get therapy.
Okay.
If you don't want to do the therapy thing, I'm a book reader and I've got a million books I could recommend, but there are also some really good podcasts by some really good therapists. One that I would give a shout out to is The Holistic Psychologist. She is a licensed psychologist and she no longer does private practice. Her whole thing is online. She's got books. I think she's got podcasts. She's got an Instagram. She's on Facebook. I think there are like classes. Like I've been getting social media stuff from her advertising for her next like class to sign up for. So let me tell you how to find a good therapist. First of all, let me say BetterHelp is a really unethical company. Please don't use BetterHelp. They are unethical to the users. They are unethical to the therapist. They're just high key unethical. Please don't use BetterHelp. They are an unethical company.
What's up, Skirts Up Squad? It's Samantha.
And Melissa.
We're back again. And I did use squad.
I know. I'm liking that. I'm really liking it. So yeah, you guys don't have a choice. You're the squad.
Now we have my bestie.
Yay.
It's Courtney.
We became best friends. Everyone basically thought we were related. They were like, "Oh my
Oh,
god,
they
is she your
did.
sister?" Because we were together so
the
much
time.
that like we sounded the same. Yeah, like we talked very similarly because we had spent so much time together.
Oh, yeah, we'd like
and
stay the night
then
together like all the time.
Yeah, we just did a lot of like shenanigans together in the restaurant. I mean, we were both young, like working in a
Under
restaurant.
21, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just partying all the time because it's the restaurant industry. Like you
Mhm.
work,
I
you
will
drink, you do
never
it
let
again.
my kids work in a restaurant, FYI.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
I mean, the shit that we were doing underage, going to bars, these people would get us into bars. We were drinking all the time. We'd get invited to these parties and things that shouldn't be happening were happening. And I mean, yeah, we just made dumb decisions, man.
Yes, so we have lots of things that we have done that we've matured.
There's for sure things that we've done that I think surprise us that we're still alive, like together. Like,
And I regret none of them, okay?
I mean, I regret like maybe like one or two of them. Two drunk girls end up in a hospital.
Guess for real. For real.
Guess for real? Okay, two drunk girls end up in.
Yeah.
Okay. You're taking someone else to the hospital. That's what I
Why?
guess. I don't know. Like, okay, so maybe you're just like, okay, when I get drunk, sometimes I get a little bit like into my feelings and empathetic. And maybe you saw somebody and you stopped on the road to help someone you didn't know.
Oh, no.
Okay. That's
All
my
right,
guess.
All right. Who do you want to tell this story?
Courtney. I want to hear from Courtney.
Now that my side of the story is better.
You don't have a
Okay, but
side.
my side of the story, my side is the truth. Is
I love it. I knew she was going to say that. We're going to hear Courtney's side, and then you can put your defense out.
Fine.
okay. So another story on why my mom probably loves Sam very much. Okay. So one of my exes that I won't name had gotten in a new relationship, and something had happened and it made me really angry. And so at that moment, someone invited us to a Halloween party. And, I think anger plus alcohol is always good. So I went to the said Halloween party.
Can I just say what I was wearing? No, I was in a costume. I don't know what I was, but I put on knee-high, like, stiletto boots, and then I put my dagger in my face.
You were an assassin, I think.
That's right.
I think you were an assassin. I'm pretty sure that's what. I was a cowgirl because I didn't have a costume, so I put on the shortest shorts I owned, and like I don't know what shirt I was wearing and a cowboy hat, and was like, this is it.
Yep.
And so we went to the Halloween party and we're playing beer pong, and I was crushing it.
As always.
And then I wasn't crushing it anymore. I was like, oh,
you were
I don't
crushing the
feel too
floor.
good. Yeah, I was crushing the ground. So then the little context, I physically cannot throw up. So if I get alcohol poisoning or anything like that, I just start dry heaving.
Oh,
And
I
so-
forgot. You told me that once.
Yeah. So I was a little past drunk, and I went to the bathroom because sometimes stomach acid will come up, and I was like, so I went to the bathroom and I like got by the toilet because stomach acid was coming up a little bit, and I like didn't want to make a mess. And then I went to a little sleepy sleep on the floor by the toilet. And the next thing I know, I hear like people talking, but I can't quite respond to them. And then I hear some girl saying, well, I'm a paramedic in training and you need to call an ambulance. And I was like, no, I don't. But no one, like, I don't know if I wasn't actually speaking or what, but I didn't want the ambulance. Well, then I passed out again. And the next thing I know, I'm on a gurney. I'm being ushered to an ambulance. And then I'm coherent at this point, and I'm talking to the paramedic, and I say to her, I was like, no, really, I'm okay. She was like, well, you're already going to the hospital. I said, all right.
You're in
So,
the ambulance.
I got to ride shotgun,
getting
and they
in the
took my dagger.
They took, I
probably
didn't know
should
they
have.
took your dagger. I hear Sam like crying. Somebody needs to call her mom. And I was like, they're like, she's dying. And I was like, I'm not dying, I'm talking. I was like, I'm literally speaking words right now.
I'm
Do
in
not
this
call my
ambulance
mom.
against my will.
Yes. And so she does not hear any of this. She calls my mom. I mean, I'm a grown adult, legal age of drinking here. I'm in the ambulance. My mom has been called, who can't drive at night to see.
This is
So now
so
it's like 2 or 3
humiliating.
in the morning. I'm in the ambulance. Oh, it gets better. The woman puts the IV in my arm. And I look and I'm just amazed at this paramedic. I mean, we're in a moving vehicle and you put a needle like first try right in my vein. And I told her, I was like, good job.
Done.
Yeah,
And
Courtney's
she
not an
looked
easy
at
stick.
me and I was like, I'm just really impressed. I was like, we're moving and you put an IV in me. And she was like, looks at me like the death stare.
Weird.
Like, shut the hell up, you drunk woman. And then she was like, you're the most sober drunk person I've ever brought to the hospital. And I said, well, maybe you should tell my friend that just called my mom. So at this point, I've had so many IVs, fluids in me that I'm like sober as sober could
You're
be.
feeling good.
I get to the hospital. Yeah, I get to the hospital. Sam, on the other hand, they didn't give her any IVs. So she's in the hospital.
Crying.
My mom's now in an Uber on the way there.
Oh no.
Sam's sitting next to me, and Sam sees this man come in, a nurse, and then the nurse leaves, and Sam's like, I think I know him. And I was like, no, you do not know him. And she's like, I think I do. And she starts screaming, Dan!
Rob.
Dan! Or what?
Rob.
Rob. Yeah.
I thought it was someone I worked with's husband who works in a hospital.
So she's screaming this man's name. She doesn't know this man. Then my mom comes up. She gets there. She looks at me. I'm like chilling. She looks at Sam. She's like, maybe she should be in the bed. And I was like, you think? And then me and Sam are like, don't know what to do because we can't get home. The people are like, we're going to discharge you and y'all can leave. You know, a fun fact is that I never had to pay for that ambulance ride.
Our guest Amina is going to help us understand.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I am a lucid dreaming coach, and I teach people about dreams, just everything regarding dreams, like what to do with them, how to record your dreams, how to understand them, and of course, lucid dreaming, which is my favorite part. And for those that don't know, it is real. To answer your question, lucid dreaming is basically when you become aware from within the dream. So you're dreaming and you are aware that, oh, this is a dream.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a spectrum of that. Like, it's not easy, like black or white. You could be kind of aware or like kind of suspicious that something's not right and maybe it's a dream. Or you can have full awareness with full dream control. You can do whatever you want in the dream, fly around, talk to celebrities, whatever it is. There's a million things you can do in a lucid dream. So it's really fun. And there's a lot of like therapeutic potential. There's a lot of like growth potential there, and also just having fun. But you can also use it for real life practical applications like practicing skills or preparing for presentations and a million other things. So hopefully that makes sense as an intro.
It does. That's such a good example.
So we're super excited. Today we have with us Aria, who is a domestic violence and sexual assault investigator with the DeKalb County DA's office. So I'm really excited to hear what she has to tell us.
So I just wanted to see like kind of what y'all thought. The first question that I had for you guys is domestic violence equivalent to physical violence?
Oh, I know the answer to this because it can be, I believe, but it's also could be a lot of emotional abuse and such going on too, right? It doesn't have to be physical, is my opinion. But
Yeah. There's different kinds other than just physical.
Correct. So y'all hit the nail on the head on that one. Domestic violence is not always physical violence. There is this theme in domestic violence situations of power and control, and that can be executed in many different ways. And I think it kind of culminates in physical violence, but in the buildup, there can be a lot of emotional abuse. There can be isolation. There can be financial abuse. There can even be sexual abuse that can occur before a physical incident occurs. And then once that physical incident occurs, things kind of de-escalate and they backtrack. The presence of a firearm in a domestic violence incident increases the risk of homicide by how much?
I guess it could raise it by 50%.
So you're already sitting down. The number, it's 500%.
Holy,
Yeah. 500%.
Are you serious? I thought 50 was a lot.
Yeah. Red flags. Abusers know that the best way for a victim to get out of an abusive situation is with the help of others. Abusers will isolate their victim.
I wanted to ask you kind of a two-part question.
Mhm.
So first question is, who is susceptible to this kind of abuse?
Anybody. And that's kind of a scary thing when you think about it. But just because you are educated on these facts doesn't mean that you're not susceptible to this kind of abuse or this kind of relationship. I believe an abuser knows what they're doing. They know how to hide the red flags until it's too late. Anybody can find themselves in these kinds of relationships, and that's why it's so important to know what you're looking for. So for me personally, again, I said part of the reason I got into this was personal reasons that I've seen these things happen to people that I know and love and care about, but they've also happened to me. And I'm somebody who has a criminal justice background, a law enforcement background. I've taken the classes, I've taken the courses, like I know what to look for. But I still found myself in one of these kinds of relationships.
How can we help our friends or anyone that we, even maybe people we don't know in the community too?
What did you need in that situation?
I just needed a friend who would be there when I needed them, no matter how many times I'd said I was going to leave, no matter how many times I showed up like bruised and bloodied or whatever and said like, this is never going to happen again, blah, blah, blah. I needed a friend who would be there every time I called, like offer their help, because at the end of the day, it is so much harder getting out of a situation alone than it is with the help of others.
Hey, Skirts Up Squad, it's your girl, Melissa. And as a small business owner, I love to support other small businesses. Currently, one of my favorites is the Golden Buttercup Candle Company.
They are the sweetest people ever. I am so glad that I met them. They custom created a scent for us called Land of Lottie for our event that we recently did. They also have a candle with the eucalyptus. It is the only eucalyptus scent that I will ever have in my house again. It is that good. Check out the Golden Buttercup Candle Company for all of your scented needs.
You heard it here first, the Golden Buttercup Candle Company.
Laura, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me, you two. Such an honor to be on today. a little bit about me is I'm a shamanic healer that's been in my bloodline for a long time. Also have a master's of education in clinical mental health. So have that clinical aspect that I put in my private practice, and also have a pretty good background in neuroscience. Before going into private practice, I was a director of a neuroscience treatment center for about 8 years. And so I like to merge those three type of modalities: the shamanism, the clinical mental health, and the neuroscience. And so I have a private practice here in Fort Worth, Texas.
And
Them is a lot of people think it's a spirituality or a religion, and it's not really anything like that. It actually is a mechanism of healing. And it's a belief that we have all the resources on our body and in nature to heal ourselves. So my job as the shamanic practitioner is to help the client find their own internal medicine and heal themselves. And so what that might look like is looking at the resources they have on their body.
When you said that everyone is everything and that you can help teach people how to become anything, how to become a tree, how to become an animal, what does it look like? Can you explain to us and walk us through how you would teach someone how to be a tree? Like, what does that look like, and what does someone typically experience from that?
Sure. So that's a really there's this classic answer where it says depends, right? In that if in there
That's
it's
fair.
like the answer to everything. Well, you know what? It depends. And so you're asking me a question for someone that's imaginative that I don't even know, who I don't know what their barriers are. But
Okay.
I'll take you through like a classic a classic becoming a tree. Basically what it is if I were to take somebody to feel and become the energy of a tree, it would probably be because they needed to be grounded, because they're probably a little bit spacey, right? And a tree is it's rooted, it's in the ground. And so the tree has chakras like we do, right? So you have the crown chakra, you've got the third eye chakra, the throat chakra. And so usually what I'll do is I'll take somebody out on a walk, and if they're very spacey and they're very like they can't keep their feet on the ground and they can't be grounded, we'll go on a walk and I tell them, okay, I want you to just find a tree that you really like. Have you guys ever gone out in nature and been like, oh, I don't know, I really like that tree. Something about that tree.
I do it all the time.
So I would have them go out and they pick a tree. And first thing I'd have them do is just look at the tree, just like observe it. Just what do you like about it? Look at the leaves, look how tall it is, connect with it. So that first one is awareness, right? Awareness of what's in front of you, right? Really looking. It's so rare that we actually look at something instead of we're just so
True observance.
and then I'd have them go up and touch the tree, right? And go feel the energy and close your eyes and see what you're picking up from that tree. It's really amazing. You're bringing me to a woman that I worked with, and she was having a really tough time in her life. She just went through a divorce and kind of lost. And we did the tree, and she went up to the tree and she put her hands on the tree and she said, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is, but I feel like a ton of sadness from this tree. Like I feel like there's a lot of grief here and I don't know why. And I said, okay, stay with that. I was like, just feel it, just be with it. You don't need to change it. You just be with the tree. And she started crying, and it was almost as if the tree was allowing her to release her own grief. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, now I want you to connect with each chakra of the tree. And I kind of showed her how to do that. And she was able to bring that energy in. And I said, don't worry, no one's going to look at you. I'm here. If people look at you, that's their own shit. Like, don't just pay attention. So, because we're so self-conscious, right, about what we're doing here.
Totally.
And so she's doing this energetic exchange, and then she wraps her arms around the tree and she was like, oh, I feel like this tree is my friend. And I said, can you allow yourself to become like the tree, rooted? And she took off her shoes. Like, she just did all this instinctively, took off her shoes, and she was with the tree, and she was like, oh, I feel so good and so grounded, and completely shifted her energetic state. Yeah.
Whoa.
And the marvelous
That is
about this is
beautiful.
after we did the shifting of the energy, because she completely shifted the way that she was feeling just with the tree. And we were walking, and there was a plaque it was a huge tree. There was a plaque on the other side of the tree. And it was a tree that had been memorialized for a person that had passed. And there was like a bench there with a little. And she said, "Oh my gosh, do you think the grief I was picking up from the tree was maybe other people coming and, crying over the person that had passed?" I said, "Oh, I bet so." So energy is everything. We are energy. We can pick up on energy. We can transpose our energy like she did with the tree. And so I hope that answers your question.
We're going to turn it over to her.
You just turn it
Introduce
over?
yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I am Kelly Palmatier. I'm a full-time professional psychic medium based here in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. Of course, most people are familiar with the 5 physical senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling.
Okay.
There are psychic equivalents to each of those. So, for example, in my case, I am an empath, so I do feel the emotions of others.
Okay.
I'm clairvoyant, so I psychically see images. Clairaudient, so I hear messages. Clairalient, so I get psychic smells. Clairsentient, so I physically feel the energy. And also claircognizant, so sometimes I just know things. So let's
this.
talk about that.
Yeah, let's please.
Your intuitive mind, some people might refer to that as being your higher self.
Right.
Your higher self
That is
is
what I was kind
the
of
part of
saying.
you that is based in the energetic realm,
Okay.
right? When I refer to spirit in general, that is referring to the energetic realm.
Okay.
The word God, what is God? God is energy.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, we're just talking about semantics.
That's kind of what I felt like too.
It's what we gathered towards the end of it.
Yeah. I
It is what
think
you
we're
believe.
saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're just saying it differently.
Yeah.
That is
And that's fine.
I'll tell you
like-minded.
something funny.
Please.
When I pray, I'm so inclusive that I have to laugh at myself about this, because I think, am I praying to God? Am I praying to,
Allah.
who am I praying to, right?
Yeah.
And so I came up with this, for a while anytime I was kind of setting an intention to the universe or voicing my gratitude, I would list off all these different, thank you, God, universe, universal source energy, angels, spirit guides, loved ones, ancestors. Thank you all. I'm very passionate about making a difference in the world.
My name's Brad. I was born in Seattle. That's where we started. So I'm from the Grunge City. This will come in.
So you want to give us a note?
You're the music professional.
Oh, he has mute. What you got?
Stop it.
Okay.
You're the best.
I'm not cutting this.
She's not cutting it.
All right. Give you a note. We're doing a skirt. Skirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good range.
I love
it.
This is so fun.
So my skirt was right there.
1, 2, 3. Skirts.
That was so beautiful.
We worked with a couple of clients that had strokes, and so their speech was they knew what they wanted to say, but it was just not being produced. So when we use music, it kind of highlights the entire brain. So your neurons are going from like a processing. So when you use music, it kind of highlights the brain. So these neurons kind of have another path of highlighted regions of the brain where there's like, oh, I go this way. So your brain, in a way, rewires itself to find new paths to like complete the tasks that they're trying to do. So on a neurocognitive level, it's really fun where you sit with somebody and you try to get them to use language to take care of their everyday tasks, like needing to go to the bathroom. So if they can't speak it, you can sit with them and you just create a beat, like you create your steady beat and be like, okay, let's sync up with this beat. And then you just practice with them. I want to go to the bathroom, right? So you just make it musical, and like that catches a lot better because your whole brain's like firing, and you're just like, okay, and like so then they can start doing that. And so The same thing with Parkinson's. You put a rhythmic component to it. And this is all on, like, all these things are on YouTube. You can YouTube all of them. You see this man with Parkinson's, he's walking, he's stumbling, and he's like having his walker. And he's like, okay, let's put in this musical stimulus, like we've got a nice steady beat going. And like they will sync up with that beat and start walking a lot better. So through music therapy, the goal is to kind of reduce that musical stimulus, the external stimulus, to make that kind of an internal thing. So they always have this beat.
Today, you're going to get to meet the creator of the Five Hive, Megan. And to throw in a little bit of success, you get to meet a special guest that she has brought. We don't want to waste any of the time that we have for this episode. So we're just going to skirt on into what we have today.
Skirt on in. I like it.
Today, we have with us Megan and Sean. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
My name is Megan Ward. I'm also a Clark County foster mom. I've been fostering for almost 7 years. I've had 111 kids. I'll have 112 tonight.
Wow.
And I am the director of the Five Hive. I'm also the director of Home and Five, their sister nonprofits. And I started fostering in 2017. So it was a conversation that was actually, it was supposed to be about a conference that I was going to. And the conversation went in this really strange left field. And I realized with my co-founder, her name is Kim, that we just weren't okay with the inequities that were existing. And we understood why DFACs couldn't solve the problems. But we sat back and we were like, well, if you can't solve it because of policy, then I can, because I don't have to follow policy.
Create your own policy.
We decided to create a hive of humans and create a swarm of support. And now we serve all 400 families, 800 youth.
Should we introduce Sean?
How am I going to follow that up?
Like with your own little pizzazz.
I didn't know anything about foster care until I met you, neither.
That's not true.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
I'm Sean Standridge. I'm an addict and former drug distributor. That's what landed me in trouble and into the foster care realm. So like in 2022, I was arrested and raided and caught doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. So I ended up being incarcerated for a year. And during that time, I had a newborn baby that Miss Megan here took into care and raised for it was a whole year.
Year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. And, after I got out, they gave me an option. They were like, you ever been to rehab? And I was like, no, never been to rehab. But rehab doesn't work because, all your clients come out and then they come back and see me anyway. So I thought rehab was a joke because it really was. I remember getting high during my son's, he was about to turn 2. So it was his second birthday and I had to be high to be at the birthday party. And I was like, when I got back home, I was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Straight up, I was like, God, if you're out there, I need a favor. And Oconee County Police Department showed up Thursday at about 12 o'clock with guns drawn. And so, yep.
That was the favor.
He did my favor.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So, all that worked out. I went to rehab. I just completed rehab, the refresh program. I had to go to intensive treatment program for 45 days. And then I had to go to rehab for a year. I lucked up and ended up getting, what was it called? Early child placement.
With Daisy?
Yeah. So I got to go home.
How many kids do you have?
I've got 5.
5.
4 girls and 1 boy. I was lucky when they came and got me too, that they didn't get me what they could have got me. They investigated me for a long time, but
oh wow,
I got really lucky in that praying helped there. But and then when they came to me about Megan, they're like, "You got the gold star foster mom." I was like, "What the hell is a foster mom?" I had no phone calls, I had no visitors, and they're like, "You got a visitor," and I'm like, "No, I don't." And then it's in a room, and DFAX is there, and Miss Bryan's there, and she's like, "You are not what I thought you were." I was like, "Well, y'all aren't either, but I don't trust y'all." Straight up. Why are y'all here? And she was like, "Well, the kids are in care. Do you want me to reach out? What can we do for you?" I was like, "What the hell you mean?
Oh.
Nobody can do anything for me right now."
No one ever asked you that before, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
had
And so
they?
it was like, what the hell are you really here for?
Because at that
Yeah.
point, the kids were with an emergency family
Yeah.
in
She's
North
like,
Georgia.
I can't tell you who they are. I can tell you, we're checking in on them. And they're like, don't you have family? I was like, my family lives at the time in Watkinsville, I'm at Watkinsville, Oconee County Jail. My parents lived 2 minutes up the road, like literally.
Okay.
I was like, I do have family. I was like, look, I'll make you a deal. Like I told her straight up, I was like, I'll trust you if you'll do this one favor for me. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, can you go to 1190, and can you go just tell my parents, like, I need them to take the kids, like straight up. They don't even know
Oh, wow.
that there's this many. There's a little soccer team right now. Yeah, I was like, and if you'll do this one favor for me, I will do whatever y'all say.
Do you feel like you've learned anything that could help other people in the same situation of, I know I'm fucking up, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, what is their next step? What do they do?
Next step is, and this is real big, you don't have to keep doing that shit. Like I was scared of a lot of things at the time that I was doing this. I had no family. I thought I had no family. In my mind, I'd rationalize I had no family. I had no place to go. I had no stable like environment to go to. Like I was scared of everything. I was scared to leave the relationship that I would never see my kids again. But you gotta let go of fear. Fear is what drives us to do a lot of things like that. And you can quit. You can definitely quit and stop doing it if you want to. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can say all day long, look, I'm going to quit. I'm going to do this. No, the thing is, you have to put in the work. You have to put in action what you say you're going to do.
Thank you for being and taking the time to be with us.
I'm so happy to be with you girls today. This is awesome.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about how your podcast and your book and your prototype in general became.
Yeah, well, I think as with most businesses, it came from a place of just needing the information myself. I was leaving my full-time job. I had just finished my second maternity leave. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to work. I want to work for myself. Have you heard of the rocks, pebbles, and sand analogy?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that it's like you fill a jar, you're gonna throw in the rocks and pebbles first because sand can sift through and around. So you're gonna do your biggest tasks first and try to you can get the smaller ones in later. But if you try to focus on the little ones first, you're gonna not have enough time to do. You won't be able to fit everything in the jar.
You got it. And my favorite way to describe this to people is called eat your frog. There is this old fable that says if the first thing you do every morning is eat a live frog, nothing worse can happen to you for the rest of the day. And so if the first thing that you do every day is eat a live frog, nothing worse can happen to you for the rest of the day.
If you got a problem, Lottie's got the answer. She won't sugarcoat them because it's Lottie and Lottie don't lie. Because it's Lottie and Lottie don't lie. Right now, I am looking at a email that we got that says, I need some advice. We are here for another round of Lottie Don't Lie.
She don't lie.
No, she's just got to tell it how it is. I'm going to actually tell you guys how it is right now. That's shitty, I think.
Yeah, it's very controlling, isn't it?
Yeah. And then why does everyone feel like the daughter has to cave? Why is everyone catering to the son?
Adopt a dog for the dog, not for yourself.
Yeah, the dog didn't ask to be taken. The woman overheard a conversation and basically learned that her husband had been telling everyone at work that she is his sister, not his wife. I have zero tolerance for in a relationship, and Simon will stand to that. Zero tolerance for is lying.
Thank you.
You shouldn't have to bring proof that you know what you're talking about for them to
admit
honest
past
a mistake.
Yeah.
And I have zero tolerance for that. So the fact that he decides to play dumb, I too would watch. She was telling us what we bring to the table. She said, I don't mean this in a rude way. This is a compliment. You inspire people with your imperfection.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's very sweet to say that because
but I actually am so about accepting that.
Yeah.
I'm ready in this point in my life to say, you know what? I can't do.
It is what it is.
What I would love to be an amazing and perfect and put together person, but I'm not. I don't know how. That's probably the biggest thing. And I guess in the end, I kind of want to say thank you to you guys too, because
at the end of the day, we made goal.
We made goal.
We are taking care of all the families.
And we know
all of
that
us.
Our Skirts Up squad loves us too. And I don't think we could have gone through it without.
Thanks for listening to our whole story of our mega fail
of the year. Skirts Out. We love you.
If you liked what you heard today, hit that like button or the subscribe button or whatever button it is that you have.
Just hit it. To continue this conversation with us, join the Skirts Up Show on what is it again?
Well, we have Facebook, we have YouTube,
and Pinterest.
And no, we do not have a Pinterest, but we have Instagram.
You knew what I meant.
Rate and review. Rate and review.